Howdy, nerdy romantics. I am so excited right now because I have the first author in my series, Black Women Deserve Love. And I am so happy to have her with us because I read One Night Stand, and y'all know how I feel about this book. I'm loving this book. Not only is it romance, but we also have a nerdy female main character. We're going to get into this with our author, Tanvier Peart. This is the Nerdy Romantics Podcast, and I'm your host, Y.M. Nelson. Did I pronounce it right? Oh my gosh, I'm so happy I pronounced it right. Y'all, if you've been watching YouTube, y'all know I have not been pronouncing her name right. And I told you I was going to ask her. And so she let me know. She schooled me. Thanks. So, Tanvier Peart.
Yes.
Okay. Is a future best-selling romance author with a healthy obsession for snacks and happily ever afters. I love that. I love that manifestation. Thanks.
You got
Yeah.
to name it and claim it.
Yes. She is a good girl with kinks who spends her days working on public policy in New York and enjoys the wild life of being a wife and PTA mom. Oh my goodness, yes. By night, she writes and reads romance books with steamy scenes. When she's not lost in the land of smut, Tanvier, did I get it? Did I get it?
Yes.
Enjoys long walks down snack aisles and in the chorus of grunts at the gym.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, a gym rat. Or is that derogatory? Should I not say that?
I don't know. It don't bother me because I'm a carb hoochie. So that's the only reason why I'm in the gym. It's not for six packs. It's just to make sure I can eat good before I die.
I love that. Love that. Oh gosh. I just like the endorphins I get after. It's trying to get me to the gym. That's the
Yes.
issue.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. But once I get in there, yeah, I'm
Yes.
loving that. I'm loving that high after. That is so cool. So, a little more background too for those of us who have not read her books yet. So, this is the first, and One Night Stand is the first in a series. Yes. Tell us
Yes.
about the series. Tell us about what's going on there.
Yes. Well, also hello from my unfinished basement. So I have not been kidnapped. I just want to mark myself as safe. With the kids, my father-in-law, husband, everybody upstairs. So this is the quiet place. But One Night Stand is the first book in the Buffalo Steele rugby romance series. And so I am a rugby wife. My husband finally hung up his cleats.
Oh.
And he's been playing since he's pretty much been in this country. So like over 2 decades.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of stories. And that's the one sport that I've watched on the sidelines and know. So yeah, we kicked it off with One Night Stand.
Oh, okay. I like this. Okay. So that was the first question I was going to ask you was why a rugby romance? But you explained it. But the other question I wanted to ask on top of that, so this is a Black romance.
Yes.
And because you are in that world, because when somebody says rugby, I see a big English dude. That may not be a Black American man or African American man like Antonio is in this book. So tell me about what rugby looks like here.
That's a good question. So
Or was he here playing rugby, or
that's where he learned rugby, was in Bayonne, New Jersey, if we want to be specific.
Oh, so rugby is here, y'all. Rugby's in America.
Rugby is here. I would say it definitely has an international presence, which is what folks see. The England team is very well known. Same with the Springboks, the All Blacks. Rugby is very popular at the what's called the club level. So that's the level like what my husband did, where you literally come off the street, or maybe you played youth rugby and you're basically playing to be competitive, but it's not at the professional level. And
Okay.
so there are a ton of club teams across the country and in like towns and cities, and you have different divisions. It's the same thing like with basketball and such. Like you'll have your D1, your D2, your D3. And so, yeah, I would say as far as like the melanated percentage, he was definitely one of the chocolate chips in the
Okay.
cookie. It grew over time just because rugby's visibility is low compared to like a baseball or a football or a basketball. And so I would say that like fast forward to now, because he coaches youth rugby and our two sons do youth rugby,
Mhm.
in Buffalo, there is a little bit more of like a push to try and make people more aware of it as being like another option. So
Okay.
it's not uncommon for there to be limited melanin or melanation, if we want to make that a word, on teams, but brothers and sisters and the gender nonconforming are still very much out there. So
Okay.
it's here in the States, more popular at the club level where nobody's necessarily getting paid. And then one of the things that I wanted to intentionally put in the book, because I think like there's this whole, I don't know what to use, but it's easy to compare like rugby at the professional level here, like with the NBA or an NFL. And on average, the salary cap is like around 45, maybe $50,000 a year. So
Oh, wow.
it's very rare that people are making a lot of money. There might be like some comps where you take this amount, like maybe you're making 30,000 and we might cover housing, but there are like no collective bargaining agreements and no like technical union to vouch. So like if a team falls flat, which is when I was writing One Night Stand, four of the I believe 11 professional teams have just closed their doors. And sometimes people get traded, sometimes against their will. Other times it's kind of like, well, I already have to work part time because this little bit of money isn't going to help my family, but now I'm stuck and y'all were paying for my housing, and now we're looking at like evictions and stuff, which sadly have come up. And I know this is very doom and gloom. We're supposed to be talking about thick thighs, save
Romance.
lives, and all of that. But just having that knowledge from seeing my husband play on the field, he's also won like championships, the Canadian American Championship with the Buffalo team, and just hearing wrestlings at the professional level. I wanted to ground One Night Stand in reality as much as the shenanigans. So
Yeah.
people can be like, yes, let's learn about this sport.
Right.
But also in real life, while we're appreciating the thigh meat, they're not getting paid. They don't have health care like throughout the entire year. So let's bring visibility so we could start changing some things in addition to rooting for the fictitious people and the real people.
Right. And before I get off on it, because you said thigh meat and my brain went somewhere else, of course.
It might have supposed to, it could have been there on one purpose.
Of course, of course. But you do bring that out in the book, and what a struggle it is being in the league and some of the things going on with the league. So I'm an NFL football girly. So of course I'm like, rugby, nice. But I didn't know the game. But you don't be intimidated, folks. If y'all have not read One Night Stand, do not be intimidated by the fact that you may not know rugby. And maybe all that you know is they get into this big huddle scrum thing,
Yeah,
and
this
that's
look
all
at
I know.
you. The scrum, you got it.
That's all, and that maybe some of them don't have teeth. So that was the first thing when I totally went into this. The first thing was, I hope Antonio has all his teeth at the end.
Yes, I will say this is not like hockey, where I know hockey romance is big, but in real
Yeah.
life, those are the people that need to see an
You're
orthodontist
right.
on the regular. At most, you might find people that have cauliflower ears, which
Yeah.
I used to do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, so that's why I associated it with it. They don't have like the scrum cap. But other than that, you might get like a few broken bones, or have see people with like the gash and they super glued it together. But people
Oh
have their
my
teeth
gosh.
in rugby.
Wow. Well, I'm glad they have their teeth because
Yeah.
dental insurance is crazy. But the fact that they have to struggle with getting health care is that's not good.
Yeah. They got workers comp, but anything outside of the season, you're on your own.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no.
Mhm.
So more power to rugby players out there, especially at the club level. I understand what you mean about the club level. I had a cousin who played farm league baseball, and my dad
Okay.
did as well. So it's like we want you to give us professional level entertainment, but we're not
Mhm.
going to pay you professional level money.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not going to pay you anything. You just here for fun,
Yeah,
kind
you're
of thing.
volunteering your time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like we want all the things as far as the entertainment goes.
Mhm.
So it's a weird business in there and that kind of middle ground there. But the other thing that I thought was interesting because first you got the rugby romance. I wanted to know all about that. But the second thing, of course, as a romance reader and as a writer too, when you're thinking about what kind of tropes to put in here, this is a second chance romance, but more so a friends to lovers
Yes.
romance. And I noticed that I think this was maybe in your author's note. You said you didn't want to write a friends to lovers romance.
Yeah, I hate that trope.
What? Now you're gonna
It's
have
just
to explain all of this because I want to
that's
know.
that's no disrespect to any author I know or don't know. I'm sure that those stories are fantastic. But if anything, I don't know if we can cuss on here. I'm gonna keep it
Just go
Baptist.
ahead. If I have
But
to
if
bleep you
anything
out,
that makes my ass itch, it's
bleep
a
the word.
friends to lovers story. Just because what do you mean we've known each other for years? You've seen me be booed up with somebody else, swapping spit and other bodily fluids
Yeah,
with them, and you doing the same, but you've secretly been pining for me while you're with somebody else and we could have been together, but
right.
you decided to like sit on that for however many years.
Well,
F you. Like
yeah,
I don't
I
I don't like that. I
know.
don't I That's not my ministry. Well, it is my ministry now, but I don't outline my books. I have a general idea of what I wanted to do,
Okay.
and I was not planning for no friends to lovers at all. There's a little nugget of Miriam and Antonio in Elegance the D because if you read that book, which came out in 2024, Antonio is the best friend of Julian, the mailman character in that book, and you see them play rugby.
Mhm.
There's a very, very small scene where Antonio sees a woman from across the room. They're out with their rugby team. And Julian thinks he's looking at somebody else, but he's actually looking at Miriam because it was like the rare time that she came out. And so I'm like,
Right.
fast forward to last year when I'm writing this book, I'm like, well, God, I already put that in the book. I got to see how to thread this together. And
Yeah.
so that's
Uh-oh.
where I'm like, they need a one night stand that goes wrong because why not on New Year's Eve? And let's just make them friends in the background where it's off page and a 3 year fast forward.
Okay.
But when she moves to Buffalo, because that's where her older sister is, and it happens to be the same city that Antonio plays professional rugby, it's the first time in that 3 years that they're actually friends in the same place. And
Okay.
so it is a friends to lovers, but it's not, he's had a crush on her since he was like
Right.
11,
Yeah. It's more
but
like a
it's not.
he falls first and she doesn't even really know.
Yeah, but it's not like we've been best friends
Yeah.
since riding tricycles and I knew you was going to be my wife, but I just kept my mouth shut until the day before you got married.
Right. Oh my gosh. This is hilarious. This is
And
hilarious.
as an aside, I didn't put this in the author's note. The movie I love that also pisses me off that does this is Brown Sugar, which I
Yes.
referenced intentionally in One Night
Yep.
Stand because
Yes.
both the trope in that movie piss me off, even though I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm a
Exactly.
hypocrite.
Same here. I love brown sugar. Totally ticks me off. Why did it take so long for? And that's to me too, if you think about it, that's one of the longest like rom-commy movies out there. That movie is so long for it to be a rom-com.
Yeah.
And it just takes them forever to just like get it together, please.
Yes. I
But
like this
no,
book too
get,
because it was a slow burn. So there's
get,
parallels.
get it
There just
together.
wasn't nobody clinking saying my divorce, like nobody got married already.
I will say this though with this book, and I guess part of the reason why I didn't just say, get it together like this is because Miriam, and this is why I love this for Nerdy Romantics podcast. Miriam is a straight up nerd. I mean, that girl got degrees.
She got her PhD.
I mean, she not playing with y'all, but also with those degrees, she's not very social. So there's a little I'm missing the social cues kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes comes with us nerds. We sometimes miss the social cues a little bit. So that's why I can't like just totally shake her and be like, come on now, see it.
Yeah.
But with that too, did you want to write her as totally nerdy? Was this in the plan? Is this what she was saying to you, or however your characters come about? I'm just loving this fact. And
Yes. Well, my husband was not upset, but not happy that I didn't put a black Panamanian in any of my books. And he's like, you've been with one for now almost 19 years,
uh-oh.
14 as of next month, married.
Right.
And you talking about all these other good brothers, but where am I? Like, he even said, which made me feel a little bit guilty.
Yeah.
Like, I referenced my mother-in-law in Elegance the D, and he was like, she got a reference, but like, where am I? Even
Uh-oh.
though he's my cinnamon roll. So
Yeah.
I split him up without sounding like doing bodily harm, where the position that Antonio plays and Julian from Elegance the D flanker is the position that my husband has played in rugby.
Oh, okay.
But Miriam's Black Panamanian identity is a hat tip to my husband because in real life, and I don't know if you can see this, my husband is an engineer.
Oh.
And so I gave some of his qualities to Miriam because I
Okay.
also wanted to have STEM rep,
I
but
love
also
that.
make it femme
Yes,
and black femme too. So she doesn't just get her master's. Sis got a PhD
that's
in
right.
mechanical engineering, which he doesn't do. But I knew going into it, I wanted to make her Black Panamanian and I wanted her to have a PhD in engineering. And then I am quirky in real life and I like writing that. And so it was fun to go back to that with Miriam because it also has, it's fun to me with like some of the physical comedy or like literally her not getting stuff and
Yeah.
he's like doing everything he can to make sure that she sees him in a certain way.
Yeah. All of the house stuff and getting the house stuff together. Yo, it's just hilarious. And I'm not really a physical comedy person, but reading it was fun. I think it's
Good.
more so movies and seeing it and then seeing certain people do it. It's like, are we kidding with this? But I mean, she was really trying. So
Yes.
the physical comedy throughout, but especially the house, getting the house together, seeing all of that physical comedy was funny. It was
Well,
hilarious.
good.
And I actually do want to see that on a movie because I would totally just like fall out laughing. It was just totally hilarious. So if you don't like writing friends to lovers, what do you like? Right, I'll get back to that. I'm sorry, I have to get back to this. If you don't like
Um,
writing friends to lovers, because this was very well done. This was
well,
such a cute book. And
thank you. It will be my first, last, and only Friends to Lovers
my
book
gosh.
that I ever write.
All right,
Well, I
y'all
still have
heard
breath
it.
in my lungs. I don't know if there's any specific tropes that I like. Two of my books have been second chance, and I'm like, okay, I didn't. The first one I guess I both knew that they were going to be second chance, but I want to like veer away from that. I will say, if we can make a cinnamon roll hero the male main character, that's the type of man that I'm going to write. And there's
Yeah.
such a spectrum because I think people assume that cinnamon rolls have to be like golden retrievers where they're
Yeah.
happy go
No.
lucky all the time, and it's like no.
No.
So that's what I like to write. I'll always write an FMC that is over 30. I think thus far the youngest I've written is like 34, but in the my mafia book she turns 40, and a small town romance serial I'm writing now for Patreon, she's 42. So those are like the consistent things that I'll always write, but the tropes come when I start writing, so I don't know
Until it happens.
I get to my notebook.
I actually like hearing you say that because it's like my process a little bit too. I feel like my characters have to be a certain kind of way. And I love a cinnamon roll, which is also probably why I love this book too. I love a good cinnamon roll. And a cinnamon roll, I always say, for those who are just listening, I'm pointing to my two books in the background. Jason is, I always say he has crusty beta edges because he's straight loyal and he will punch somebody in the face if they mess with his woman, kind of thing. So yeah, a cinnamon roll does not always have to have golden retriever energy, and it's not always going to be the nice guy that we knew back in the
Yes.
day, right?
Yes.
He can be a cinnamon roll, but he can also have a little rugby in him. Which here. And the other thing that I liked about, I'm so all over the place here, but is
I'm with you because
okay.
I'm gonna go down a rabbit
All
hole.
right. That's great. That's great. I'm glad we're on the same page here. But also with rugby, I like the fact that they had all of these nicknames.
That's
everybody,
very common.
everybody had all these nicknames, and they were so funny. And some of the nicknames, you could see the reason why they got the nickname that they got. So that's another thing. It actually helps to make the story even more immersive. Like it's
Oh, good,
authentic, but also because of the kinds of nicknames that you gave people, I'm like, I see this person.
good.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon in rugby, at least in the clubs that I've been around,
Hmm.
for folks to have nicknames. They're a lot more perverse,
Oh,
just because rugby's considered a gentleman's sport because you wear a cup and that's your only protection. You might have a scrum cap, but it's not a helmet. It's a
okay.
little bit safer than football for that reason, but rugby players are nasty. Like if I showed you my camera roll from the recent tournament that my husband and his team played in, I would have to be at church with my forehead on the back of the wall the
Oh my
entire
gosh.
time. So some of those nicknames I couldn't repeat, which is why I picked simple ones like Kendrick because he looks
Yeah.
like Kendrick Lamar, or Bread because he's always eating, or Shins because he's tall. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh gosh. But they were funny too. I mean,
we're good.
it's just hilarious. And part of the nickname is in the personality. My thing is, as a writer, how do you keep up with all these names? Oh my God. And it sounds like you're trying to create a universe too, because even though this is book one of a series, we've seen these
Mhm.
characters in a previous book, you know?
Mhm.
So you've got a universe going on, I'm thinking, yes?
Yes, I don't want to lie, but since my debut, The 7 Month Itch, there has been some sort of cameo or crossover. Like Miles
Mhm.
Apart takes place at the same singles retreat because it's the best friends messing around in the background. Tender Offer starts at the same singles retreat and they all come back together because they become friends in the epilogue. Ella Gets the D, you get a cameo from Preston from Tender Offer because Julian's in London and that's where Preston normally is in Antonio, who kicked off this rugby series. And then Julian and Ella from Ella Gets the D make a cameo. And then in my Dark
Yeah.
Mafia rom com, Salvatore is Black Sicilian, and that's Preston's cousin. So there's like a cameo there. So it's all threaded together.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll make it obvious where I'll say the person by name, but other times I might be like referencing what they do or talking about them. Like in Ella Gets the D, for New Year's Eve, they were at some gala and Ella's best friend was talking to Senator Douglas, and she was like, "Oh, tell your daughter I said hi." I don't know if I said like Emma's name from Miles Apart, but that was her dad that she was talking to. So there's a universe that I'll try and like thread together because certain people know each other or they're related to each other.
Right. Was this on purpose when you started creating, or is this something that just happened and evolved?
I'm an MCU fan, so it was
Oh,
on purpose. It was on purpose.
okay. All right. Y'all, she said MCU. Y'all know. Trigger here. We love some MCU. We just finished reviewing Wonder Man. So, yeah. So, we might have you back just to talk nerdy stuff.
Okay, I don't know how far deep. I mean, X-Men, I named one of my kiddos after my favorite X-Men. So, whole
Yeah,
thing,
you
I'm
deep in it,
official.
girl. Sorry. You in it. We'll send you an invite. You can always decline if that one's just not your thing.
I'll just sit in the background and be quiet and just nod when I know what y'all are talking about.
That
I'm
sounds
more
good.
MCU with the movies and not the comics. Now, my dad has
Oh,
some
that's
originals,
us.
so he could talk to you about comics
Yeah.
all day long.
Yeah, that's us. We're totally MCU. We're not really comics. I have
Okay,
one person who comes on and he's definitely comics and he
cool.
gives us a little bit of comic background and things like that, but we're MCU totally. We're not comics.
Okay, so you're with the movies.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're with the movies. Some of us will nerd out at the TV shows, some of us won't. That's how we are.
Yeah.
So you're in it.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
in. Okay.
I might follow a little bit.
But back to this whole universe. I like the fact that you are creating this and wondering A as a reader and B as a writer who this has happened to. Does anyone come up to you or does anyone like DM you and say, "Hey, are you going to have XYZ person in the next book?" Like or
That's a good question.
yeah.
I think I get asked about the side characters if they're going to get a book. Like the reason why Antonio kicked off the Rugby series is because one of my beta readers
Oh,
asked, like, okay, so is Antonio going to get a novella or what?
right?
And I knew I wanted to do a Rugby series, but I didn't know when. And so I'm like, okay, well, he'll just kick it off and like, check, we'll do it that way. But I mostly get asked about is a side character going to get a book versus if somebody's gonna pop up.
Right. Okay. Yep, that's how I get it too. Like
Yeah.
there's this one particular side character and I wasn't even thinking about this person. I was like, this person is just gonna be at this place at this time, and they were like, "Oh,
That's
we
it.
love this person.
No, you
Are
don't.
they gonna get a book?" And I'm like, "Oh," and next thing you know, yeah,
You
something might
writing it.
happen. Well, we'll see. But some more about just you as a writer and as a reader, like kind of what you like. I've noticed, especially now that you're saying you're writing all around the subgenres, is it do you is that gonna be your plan? Like, I'm gonna do a sports romance series here, I'm gonna do a mafia romance here, or is there like a favorite subgenre that you want to stay in? Are we gonna see some paranormal from you? I mean, what's
Bored.
gonna happen here? Are you just like, I just want to keep my options open?
That's a good I'm so random. I only write stuff that comes to my mind. My rule and I don't write any of the ideas down because my rule of thumb is if the idea keeps popping up in my head, I was meant to write it.
Yeah.
If I forget it, it wasn't that memorable enough for me. And so the mafia one was one that I saw. I do want to do like a horror rom-com about a first date gone wrong with like some killing involved, or maybe they're running away from the killer. And so that'll come in a little bit, but they're
Okay.
just like, they're ideas. I'm not the type of person that like looks at the subgenres and I'm like, okay, well, I want to do this one and I want to do that one. It's just, can I see the story in my head where maybe like a scene or two pops in my head and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, let me think about it. And if it develops in my head, then I'll just catalog it and keep it in like a Rolodex. So I have a short list of things that I want to write and publish over the next few years, and we'll see what happens, because maybe I'll just run out of ideas and then have to like look at the subgenres and be like, okay, I need to pick one
Right.
because nothing else is coming to mind.
Do you test these on your Patreon? Should we be members?
I mean, I'm biased, but I heard it's a time. My Patreon baddies get first and exclusive looks. Like there are deleted scenes that they'll have access to. I do something called Friday Eve Tea. So they've actually been reading chapters of Big Trouble in the Little Mafia, which gets released to them every other Thursday. They get automatic first dibs on like audio books, because now that I have a deal with Podium, they're going to start rolling out. They get automatic access to like arcs. There's a tier where the PR boxes that I do, I design like a special box just for the Patreon folks. There might be like exclusive content. And one of the things that is coming out very, very soon is a serial that I'm doing. And they got to vote. Like I gave them a short list of just the different ideas in my head. And so we're doing a single mom, rivals to lovers, small town rom com. And so the first episode or chapter of that is coming out in like a week. Actually, it comes out next week. And so that will come every other week on the weeks that they're not getting the early chapters of my work in progress. And
Okay.
it's a little bit more of a, I guess, like an immersive experience, if you want to call it that, because they voted on who the MMC is. I gave them stock images. And the person that they kept talking stuff about, I was like, okay, I'll make that her ex-husband, since everybody didn't trust him. They voted on the town name. They are wrapping up voting on what the title will be of the serial.
Wow.
And then because I like Goosebumps and I was a 90s kid, certain episodes or chapters at the end
Uh-huh.
will have a poll where they can determine what somebody does next or where the story goes next. So
Ooh, so they're
that
kind of like in a choose your adventure kind of
a
thing.
little bit, yeah. Like it's not going to happen with every chapter, but we're having fun, and I update that a lot. Audio notes, sharing behind the scenes stuff. I update that a lot. So
Wow.
we have a good time there.
So it sounds like everybody, y'all need to be a Patreon patron of Tanvier's. Okay.
So
Tanvier.
you can see my foolishness.
Right? Exactly. I don't call that foolishness. I call that some ingenuity, to be honest, because it's all I could do to get a newsletter together, y'all. Like, what am I gonna say? Like, but
Hello.
right?
That's it.
Hello. That's basically what I say sometimes. Hello. But I think that is really cool that you do that with your patrons. But also, I feel like people should follow you on Threads, because that's where I found you.
Lord.
Or maybe that's where you found me, because I did do a call to authors, but I
Yeah.
had been following you too before,
Okay.
because every now and then she'll say something and I'll be like, all right now, all right now.
Unfiltered, yes.
Yeah.
I've not been sent to timeout yet, so nothing too controversial, but
Well, that's
nothing that I show my parents.
well, that's good that you haven't been sent to time out yet. That's
Yeah.
good. But one thing that really kind of drew me was the fact that, and we're getting a little bit back to the rugby romance, but I also want to talk about the fact that this is a Black romance as well. But one of the things that drew me is that you were talking about the representation in sports romance and how you're looking at the sports romance on Amazon
Mhm.
and you're not seeing our faces there.
No.
And especially in the top. So, as much as hockey romance at this point has gotten so much whatever, you would think that, but the representation doesn't happen. And yes, I'm being a little bit political as I say this with my words. I'm being a little bit judicious, I should say, with my words here. She does not be judicious with her words. And And I like the fact that you pointed that out, especially in the middle of this wonderful HBO series that's out. That's all I'm gonna say.
Which was it's definitely entertaining, but I would say on Threads can be such a messy place, but it could
Yes.
also be a place of information. And while we're in this world of trying to identify who's a safe place, who's an ally or an accomplice or a co-conspirator, we always hear about the disparities when it comes to gender and equity and romance, but nobody talks about the anti-blackness.
Right.
And as the days are leading up to One Night Stand, and I don't know if it changed, it likely didn't. So I'll say at the time, to be safe, there were no books by Black authors in the top 50, technically top 60 books in Amazon's sports romance category. Now, there were maybe like 2 or 3 of non-Black people of color, which I celebrate those authors 100% because it's a hard category to break. I've even had conversations with other Black authors who are like, I've written a sports book and it mysteriously was taken out, like removed from the category. And so,
What?
yeah. And so I'm not the first Black author to write a Black rugby romance, but you wouldn't know that there are Black authors writing incredible sports romances because we are not represented on any of the bestsellers, which reflects what I don't want to even say the general community because the Black community definitely shows up. And I've been so appreciative of just the love and reception for One Night Stand. But it's such a shame that, like, yes, we should be talking about femmes and representation with that equity, but also you should be raising your voice, especially if you have one within the sports romance space. I'm about to be controversial. And also be
It's okay.
talking about why there are only white faces at that table
Right.
while you're talking about the men.
Right.
Can we start there?
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
Yeah. Exactly. I will be honest, I wasn't really like looking for sports romance until I'm trying to think, until Alexa Martin. I think Alexa Martin, she writes football.
Yeah, Intercepted,
Yes.
Blitz something.
Yes, until
They on
she
my
started writing, and then I started looking in that category for more Black authors, and it's very hard to find them
we
because
just out in the
yeah,
universe.
right? Because you have to really look, and it's not because you're not there, it's
Mhm.
because you have to really look. It's on the reader to have to really look and find and search. And it shouldn't be that way because
Yeah.
I'm with you. There are Black authors out there writing Black sports romance or Black authors writing sports romance with Black characters,
Yes.
you know?
That deserve all the visibility and the love and attention because the irony is that how do Black people collectively whip ass across sports genres, if you will? Maybe not hockey and
Right.
maybe not rugby unless you pull in the international people and put us together.
Right.
But basketball,
Yes.
football, melanated soccer, my God, today,
Yes.
internationally. How
Yes.
and there's no visibility. It's just alabaster everywhere. That makes no sense to me because it does not represent real life or the life that I want to live in.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I'm like, outside of romance, the book genre, if you're looking at sports, you're looking at us. You're looking at Black people in America. You're looking at people of color everywhere, especially if you like include soccer and, like you're saying now, rugby.
Mhm.
You're looking at people of color mostly. So, why is there a white out there? It bothers me. Yes, I'm with you on that. The other thing that I really loved about this and why I was like, yes, we have to have her on here, is because this rugby player has a Black woman who he is in love with. Okay, has
Yes.
been in love with for like ever. So that's the
Yes.
other thing. And sometimes it's hard to find, we'll say on those bestseller lists,
Yeah.
Black female main characters who are being adored, who are being loved, and just Black romance in general.
Mm-hmm.
But in particular, Black romance, or in particular romance with Black women who are being loved and who are being adored. And I love that this has a Black female main character who is being loved and adored. Is that A, we know it's purposeful. I'm just gonna already say we know it's purposeful. But B, is that your MO for everything, or are you just writing as you write? But is that your MO?
I intentionally write Black love because that's what I live out loud, fully and without apology. And for me, Black love, especially in today's political world, is an act of resistance. And there might be some quote that goes with that that's escaping me. But that's why I center Black romance, because oftentimes, whether systemically or otherwise, it's always trying to be suppressed. And I just think that there's something in the sauce when it's melanated, but that's what I love amplifying. And I love Black love across the diaspora, which is why you have
Yeah.
a Black Panamanian, or even in the 7 Month Itch, Terrence was Black American and his dad was Dominican, or Big Trouble in a Little Mafia, you have a Black Sicilian with a girl from Baltimore. And so I love that representation because I love us. And so that's what I live, and that's what I want to emulate and reflect on the page.
Yeah. I love that. And I love the fact that you want to make sure it's not just Black Americans, but you have the diaspora going,
Yeah.
because it is a diaspora.
Yeah. We
Right? And
connected.
right, exactly. We're definitely connected. But the other thing about that too is that there is a unity that happens within us,
Hmm.
right? There's a unity. It's like we're different, but we are unified. And we
Hmm.
need to show that, because in other media, for the majority, we see that. We see Italians, we see Irish people, which used to be minorities in America, but we Germans and Danish people, and we also see all different kinds of people from different regions. The problem is that there's not this representation that's happening for us. And I like the fact that you are intentionally doing that so that representation can be out there.
Yeah.
Um,
And I reflect what my life is.
yeah,
Like, my life is very melanated, deeply rooted in the Black community, but my definition of the Black community extends beyond my neighborhood and even this country. And so
right,
for me, I feel like it's easy to insert because it's also based off of lived experience and just being a part of a community that's greater than just one thing, that loves all of the things. And so I'm very grateful just for the people who continue to inspire me and show up in my life and all of that. But definitely, I am for the diaspora because we are united. And I feel like media tries to do a very good job of pitting us against each other.
right.
I'm going to
Exactly.
watch my mouth just because I
I
was
understand.
thinking, just like when you see the NFL drafts, and it's usually the same sort of romantic setup. But when
Mhm.
you look at percentages of who's coupled with who, that's not the true story.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to call out somebody, but I'm not going to do that right now. So, I'm noticing my time, so we could talk all day. Let's be honest, y'all. Okay, I'm just gonna say Tanvier is now a nerdy romantic. We are
Okay.
friends. There we go. Okay.
Y'all got t-shirts? I'll wear one.
Oh yeah, there are t-shirts. I'm redesigning some, so yeah,
Okay.
I have them on sale. But there are t-shirts.
Okay.
But now that we're getting close on time, I want to make sure that we do our rapid fire questions. So when I say rapid fire is maybe whatever comes is what
Yes.
comes to mind, but it doesn't
Okay.
necessarily have to be a fast answer. Like if you have a backstory thing that you want to say, you can say that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So rapid fire questions. The first book that you read and you thought, I want to write that.
I never wanted to be an author, so this is hard. I
Okay.
know. I
So
just
now you got to tell us the story. All right.
Okay.
So how did you
Um
fall into this? Tell us.
Therapy is the short answer, but to answer the question, Kennedy Ryan's Before I'll Let Go, though I definitely was into Zane and Terry McMillan back in the day, but I wasn't trying to be a writer. I wrote a screenplay, not a full one. This is such a random story. But when I was in the 6th grade, I'm into horror movies, and my dad, like, our relationship has been since I was little. We would go to the movie theaters almost weekly. And I learned how to balance Burger King drinks and the food between my armpits because he would always make me carry everything
Yeah.
underneath the coat. Because if I got in trouble, they would have mercy on me. I feel like he just
Right.
did that to be an asshole.
I
But
love
Scream came out around that time. And I remember having a random idea for a horror movie with black people. This is before I think Marlon Wayans and the Wayans got into the scary movie stuff.
Oh yeah.
And when we had internet, because you had to still plug stuff up to the computer and use little AOL CDs for internet, I remember writing Wes Craven's People in the 6th or 7th grade. Like, hey, I have this movie idea, and like try to do, I guess, what was a synopsis. And then they wrote back, like, don't email us because we don't accept solicitations.
Wow.
And may he rest in peace. Outside of that, I had no interest. And I also wasn't big into reading fiction. And it took therapy in 2020 during the summer uprisings because my 9 to 5 is heavily in policy. And I was like finishing up my master's in policy. And my therapist was like, you need a safe place to land that gives you joy, that's not rooted in the stuff that you're trying to help fight outside. And so I said, well, I'll read a book. And she was like, okay, like no Malcolm X autobiographies. And so that's when I started picking up romance, was late 2020. And then in 2021 is when I sat at my computer, which I don't do anymore. And I wrote a very ugly draft of the 7-month itch. And then I sat on that for 3 years. And my husband was like, well, you have this, so publish it. So that was therapy, was my reintroduction into romance, and also the aha moment where, okay, I'll put my shenanigans on paper and we'll see where this will go.
Oh wow. That's an awesome story. And I love hearing like the beginnings of like where people started wanting to write. I love that. I love that. And now you have characters and universes and all this other kind of
Yeah,
stuff. Oh my.
we still here.
Right? So, we already talked about the trope you don't like. So, what's your favorite trope to read? Or do you have one?
Do I have one? What makes me tingle? I read a lot of urban romance, even that's not a trope. What draws me to, I like chaos in my books. And I
Okay.
know that that's not a trope, but like, I like, as long as it's
Yeah.
not my life and I don't have to
Right.
live with that mess, I like chaos. It used to be Grumpy Sunshine, but really I tend to fall down a rabbit hole of authors, and read their back catalogs.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
whatever they have, I'm in there.
So, can we name drop? So, whose rabbit hole have you fallen down?
I was in the guts of Jaquel J's catalog, like back in like 2018, 2017. Siobhan Latrice,
Mhm.
Lady Nisha's Bambi series, books 1, 2, 3, the Thanksgiving one, and Here We Go Again. I read the Bambi series at least once a year,
Oh,
and I
wow.
read it 3 times last year.
Oh,
Let's
wow.
see.
Okay.
Evelyn Latrice. I'm gonna forget people. I need to get into more Christina C. Jones.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
just
just finished reading her. Gosh, I don't know what the name of the series is, but it was something like, I think I want you, I think I need you, I think something like
I know
that.
what you're
You know
about.
the series I'm talking about? Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Just
I
finished
have
reading
maybe next time loaded for her.
it. Okay. Yeah.
Aubrey Prynne is another one I like reading. Aubrey J.
Okay. All right. Okay. You got a lot of good names there. I'm like,
Yes.
okay. All right. And whatever I can find, y'all, and I can link in the show notes, I will do that of the names that she just said and really the books that she just said. Definitely.
Oh, and India Carter, the Danger series.
Oh,
If you have any
yes.
sort of audiobook subscription,
It should do
Trey and
audio.
Winston do a fantastic job. Y'all need to get into that.
Okay. A definitely audio then for that one. Okay. All right. She's got me working. I'm gonna have to try to find all of these. And now you just loaded up my TBR too. Okay. So the best book boyfriend that you wrote.
Ooh, I'll get cussed out. Readers will say Julian from Ella Gets the D. It used to be Miles because he was a cinnamon roll with 50 Cent Audacity. So Miles from Miles Apart. I really do love Antonio because he has like a goofiness.
Yeah.
But I just wrote my first morally gray cinnamon roll,
Oh, now you're in love.
Sal, who kills people.
You're in love now.
So I would have to say for now, Sal, Antonio, Miles.
Okay. And your readers will say Jillian.
They will say Julie, and they'll
Okay.
say, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh boy, I love it.
Mhm.
I love your readers. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm one of your readers. Okay. So, what is your favorite or best book boyfriend that you didn't write? That's hard. Especially with some of
Oh, this is easy though.
Okay.
Meerkat.
Okay.
Mir from Caprice Books.
All right.
That
Okay.
man will sing to you, tongue you down, give you snacks, take care of the kids, and put you on a motorcycle. Not on the back, but give you your own motorcycle. And I'm lying too. It's Mir and, oh, was it Hamza? The one who does sign language. He's a secondary character
Okay.
in the Delgado Inferno series. And he's a tattoo artist and he takes his ears out, his hearing aids. I really like him. So Mir and Hamza, I think.
Okay. All right. I think it's funny. You said, "Oh, I'm lying." Is it?
Yeah.
I love it. I
Because I
love it.
forgot about the other one.
All right. So since you mentioned MCU, favorite MCU character, or do you have a fave?
Yeah, Bishop from the X-Men.
All right. Yes. Down with it. And we already talked about favorite book to write. So I'm wondering, you've already mentioned it a little bit, what you have coming up. So I'm wondering also, do you do appearances, like
Yes.
signings? What are we doing? Where are we seeing you? Where should we follow you? We already know that we need to be a patron, but yeah, give us all the contact info. What you got and what you have coming up next.
Okay. Well, at Tanvier Writes on Threads, Instagram, and TikTok. I have a Facebook, but it's only for my dad because he don't want to follow me anywhere else. So That just gets the run off of Instagram. Where will I be? I will be, let's see if I can get this right. May 1st through the 2nd, I'll be at Petals and Prose in St. Louis.
Okay.
Oop, I forgot to. See, I'm jumping to May and April. April 17th and 8th, I'll be at BookCon in the Indie
All
Author
right.
Alley.
I love
And April 25th, I'll be at Chocolate City Lit Festival in DC. And my mama's happy because I'm from Baltimore. So she's taking my kids. May 1st through the 2nd, I'll be at Petals and Prose. I'll be at Black Romance Book Fest, May
Cool.
31st through June 1st. June 13th, I'll be at the Lit World Expo in Houston. July 10th through the 12th, I'll be at Lit in the City in Brooklyn. September, I will be at an undisclosed book event that is happening in the Mid-Atlantic. They haven't announced it yet. And then I will be at CocoCon, Southern Hearts and Signed Kisses, later on this year.
Okay. All right. And are you doing like pre-orders at any of these? We should
All
just
of them.
Okay. So we really should just keep up with you as far as we need to keep up with you on social.
Yes, you can go to Baventi and they're all on there.
Oh, okay, great. That sounds good. So, Tanvier, listen, this was such a joy. I really needed to laugh. I needed a good laugh, and you provided that. But what you've also done is provide great books with intention and with representation, and especially with Black women who deserve love. And we
Yes.
love that. So thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Hi. Isn't it great when you find awesome reads like the ones on this episode? If you liked getting these book recs and want more, then subscribe to Nerdy Romantics newsletter at ymnelson.com/subscribe. Nerdy Romantics newsletter not only has nerdy and romantic recs, but sneak peeks and exclusives of my spicy nerdy romances and love stories. I love talking about sci-fi, superheroes, fantasy, and romance, books, movies, and shows with my friends. So share this podcast with your nerdy romantic friends. Thanks for listening and for watching.